Vision. Let's watch again. Weeks 1 through 7 of his 2022 campaign, and I believe that this is actually his first run of the season. Which, turning on the film and you see this is the very first run, is obviously pretty nice. And they have that fake jet motion just to pull the linebackers a little bit, which you could see it affects them. um at least 52, and and at least which I believe is Jamin Davis, but inside zone handoff, obviously he presses the A gap, which is wide open initially, which he should be doing as he starts to close around the line of scrimmage. Okay, you have 55 and 99 who's scraping to get over the top. With two guys coming over the top, what is most likely open? The undercut. Looks to the undercut to cut backside, bend the run back. He has his center, I believe his center, have that backside leverage on the nose tackle. So he cuts it backside, presses up past the line of scrimmage. Now he's seeing the open gap between the DB to the edge right here and number 3. Hits that gap, and you like the fact that he doesn't just run straight into this gap, because then it's he's probably going to get brought down, or at least have to run through a harder tackle from 20 right here. So he takes a little bit more vertical to avoid him, or at least the brunt of his contact. If he has to dive, obviously it's going to be less forced less forced to work through than if he's squared up and really driving through the ground into that tackle. So he cuts it a little bit more vertical instead of taking it flat to the edge right there. As he goes to work through that contact, we can see he pulls that near leg through. You want to lighten the load on that near leg. Again, I talk about that a lot. Because you don't want to put a lot of your weight on that leg. If that leg gets taken out and you have a lot of weight on it, guess what? You're going down. If you pull that through and it's light and you only have 15% of your weight on that leg, if it gets taken out, well, guess what? A lot of your weight is on the leg away, so you can kind of handle that contact. So good job pulling that leg away. Light leg works or breaks that arm tackle. Very, very slight arm tackle right there that he is able to break, and then pushes forward for obviously a chunk gain. Now again, in the open field here, is Brees Hall gone? Most likely, I would say, but still a really good run by James Robinson. Again, initially nothing crazy, just pressing towards the line of scrimmage, but good job noticing two guys scraping over the top, cutting back, getting vertical to avoid the outside presence, pulling the light leg, and then getting outside. And you could see, you're going to see with a lot of his runs, the pacing of it, how quick it is. For the most part, there are times where he's a little bit too patient. I want to see him cut to the backside a little bit quicker. But in general, he is definitely, like you hear, one cut runner. That's what he is. And he does it with a lot of pacing. So you see him typically take the yards that are schemed up for him, which doesn't sound like a great it doesn't sound like it's a high praise, but trust me, some running backs don't. And there are problems you'll see with his vision. There are times where, again, I want to see him take what's there at times, but Robinson pass pro. Okay, obviously split from the quarterback here. Easy, but trust me, there are plenty of Jets running backs in the past who are not the best pass protectors, and even when they are in position to pass protect, James Robinson has that natural leverage at 5'9" and the weight of 219, to be able to stand up versus linebackers, even if they are running full speed into him. So obviously, the Jaguars just have the gap protection from the left guard to the right tackle. They're going to slide to the right island on the backside, and he's going to fill into that B gap. That's all that is. Shuffles, does a good job staying square, anticipates the contact coming, drops his weight, gets his hands on, I believe what is Jamin Davis, and picks him up, not allowing him to get a hit on Trevor Lawrence. Now, not the sexiest thing in the world. People are sure like, oh, really? We only get 3, 4, 5 plays, and we're seeing a block. Again, there's no specific order. I'm not putting up highlight plays or anything like that, or just talking positive about guys. It's just what I see. And this is a big part of it. And you hear people talk about, okay, Ty Johnson's going to be that third down back for the Jets. Why? He can't catch. His pass protection is spotty. There's times where it's good, but it is spotty. Where James Robinson is very consistent in that aspect, and Michael Carter's a pretty good pass catcher. So why is Ty Johnson playing again? I don't necessarily know why people are saying that. I'm hoping that's not the case, but we'll see. Robinson's smooth speed injured 20. Oh, injured, I guess number 20. So let's watch it here. Now we have a single back with looks like a receiver is attached right here, but let's see. Motion again, hopefully pulling the linebackers, pulling the defensive line's attention. And again, you can just see the speed he carries into a lot of his runs where there's not much hesitation typically from him. But again, at times we'll talk about it. But again, you have that motion, which hopefully pulls some linebackers' attention, some of the defensive line's attention, and obviously pulls a defender outside of the running side as well. Takes the handoff. Okay, what is he seeing? A pretty hard edge set by 97, or sorry, 96. So, and it's your helmet doesn't always necessarily have to be outside, but if he's gonna create knockback and knock that back into the lane right here, into the running back's track, then he'd have to bounce outside and get to the edge. It'd be kind of hard to bounce this run. So at this point, if there is that knockback, even if he's not truly like fully outside like you'd expect or see at times, it's still kind of he reset the line of scrimmage enough where you have to cut that to the backside. So Robinson sees that, cuts it to the backside. As he's cutting to the backside, what does he see? Okay, you have two guys who are obviously getting over the top. We're trying to scrape over the top of this. The linebacker isn't playing both sides of this. You have a defensive lineman whose hips are turned with the center having that play side leverage or the cutback leverage for James Robinson. Robinson sees that, processes it pretty quickly, hits that gap, and turns forward for a decent gain. 20, tries to come in for a tackle. James Robinson puts his helmet down, lowers his obviously his center of gravity, trucks over 20, and 20 was injured. I don't know exactly how. Concussion, whatever it might have been. But listen, at the end of the day, am I rooting for injuries? No. But if you're going to try to tackle my running back and he's going to lower the boom and injure you, I'm not mad about it. That's for sure, because then you think twice about tackling a guy like that. But again, obvious speed here from Robinson, and he's not a guy who's going to be a 22 mile per hour type guy, but in terms of his acceleration and getting to top speed, he does it pretty quickly. So I actually like his athleticism overall, considering the weight he carries behind it. Again, but breaking 60-yard plays, probably not. Sorry if you can hear the lawnmower outside. Of course, just of course. Never fails. You guys watch the show. We get lawnmowers, we get dogs barking, we get whatever the sound my dog made on the live stream yesterday. But is what it is. Hopefully it's not too big of a sound in the background. But next play, single back, tight end in the wing. All right. So the thing that's quick about this is another quick one. But it still is a point worth making is you'll see some running backs who'll take this handoff and they might not carry full speed into their route, and they're not carrying full speed into their route as James Robinson does. It allows the defenders to get to the outside on you. So James Robinson does a good job after that play action fake to carry full speed into that route. Again, not allowing the defenders to make up that ground to process it, to pass it off. Obviously there's might be a little bit of miscommunication from the commanders at this point, but with that being said, they're not able to adjust to it because of James Robinson's speed into that. So sorry for that 45 seconds of lawn being cut, but it is what it is. So quickly, again, speed out to the flank, pass, easy touchdown. Again, it's very slight note, but good speed into the flat there by James Robinson for an easy reception. Next play, I don't know if this is a 2-point conversion. I believe this is a 2-point conversion after that touchdown. They're running like a flat 7, so you're going to see a corner out here and a flat. James Robinson runs, whether it be a choice or an angle, it turns into an angle route, but he's going to run a pretty nice route here. It's not the most dynamic break in the world, but he does a good job selling it. You have Trevor Lawrence, who, to me, I don't love the rollout here. Now, I understand, okay, if you have 2 outbreaking routes, if those are your only options, yeah, roll out because it's going to make an easier throw for yourself. But when you're rolling out to the right like that quickly, you're eliminating your backside options where, eventually at this point, listen, there's a couple things wrong. I'm not trying to dissect the Jaguars offense. 117 has to cut this flat. When he makes that cut, he cannot get vertical right here because he's going to undercut it. So bad job by him. Don't love that Lawrence rolls out so quickly with these guys not wide open, because you have Kirk here open on the backside, which you'd hope, okay, come off these guys pretty quickly. And you can even check them later, but check Robinson. He has an angle route versus a linebacker, and you have Kirk nonetheless, again, I'm not trying to break down their offense too much. I'm not the biggest fan of a couple of things on this play, but Robinson does a good job here selling him breaking to the just out on a bench, on a flat, whatever we want to call it. You're going to see him obviously work out to the right, show his eyes, just a little bit, nothing crazy, but linebackers will see this type of stuff. They'll see the head turned and they'll think he's going to break to the flat. That gets the linebacker to feel a little bit comfortable. The linebackers are then going to either be a little bit lazy in terms of closing ground to the running back, or they're going to look back to the quarterback. Looks back to the quarterback just based on the eyes, and then Robinson, who is again getting to the outside, but he's doing it controlled where he's not overstriding or anything like that. The thing you'd like to see is you'd like to see this step get a little bit more vertical, just so he could work more of his instep instead of more off of his toe. Again, I really hope that's not that loud, but all day, all day. But this 15 minutes, yep, this is it. um, but yeah, it's a good job by him just selling the eyes. Just that little peek technique right there. Gets that linebacker. You can see the linebacker is looking at him, looks back to the quarterback. Where does the linebacker's eyes go? To the inside, to Trevor Lawrence. Again, breaks down relatively well. Stop, break. It's only a two-step break. Now, again, if I think if he gets that break step right there, the right foot a little bit more vertical, that next step, that drive step right there is not as elongated, and the route is even more tight. But with that being said, he's wide open. So let's say Lawrence didn't rush to get to the outside right here because it is, what is a relatively decent pocket. He could either check 17, okay, and see, okay, well, right now I like him, but if he doesn't cut it flat, I don't like it. Come to Robinson. If Robinson's open, throw it. If not, go back to 17. Like it's a route to the corner, so hopefully he's going to be open. But Lawrence kind of not necessarily predetermines where he wants to go, but I think he gets locked into that a little bit too early, based on how it's looking right here. Robinson's open for a wide open 2-point conversion, and he forces it to 17, who does a bad job flattening that out. Just terrible. That is a terrible route. But I don't know who 17 is, but not a good job. This is where you see some issues with him. Spatial awareness, All right, so here we go from single back.